Okay, and you're up on there for teams, and okay, we should be good then. Oops.
Is that right?
Expanded. Yep, they are.
Okay. Okay.
What's that? We forgot to say that.
Oh, every once in a while. I know that. Like this is the first time I go on there.
Right. Yeah.
My oldest was.
You're in the first land.
Are you the executive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll keep looking on the job.
But I think better for you that way. Yeah. And these When's your last day? What are we doing?
Hello, Melanie. Online, can you see it? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I have no idea how
Hello, Roy. Can you hear us?
I don't think John has.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you, Roy.
All right.
Oh.
Got him.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Roy. We're going to try to turn up the sound a little bit. Can everybody hear me all right? Yes, it is.
Yeah, but our rubber bands are so. Yeah, go ahead. Yep. I'll do later. Yeah. Does this need to come off here? No.
So I want to make sure, are you good? Are we good? Okay. Is this on? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It is noon. We will begin. Welcome to the September 23rd midday meeting of the Rotary Club of Rochester. I am Audrey Betcher, the president of your club. To get things started, Tamsin will lead us in the four-way test. If everyone can join me. All the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, Tamsin. So the reflection today is from me. So a reminder that you can sign up to do this. I'm sure you want to hear from someone other than me. So anyway, my Rotarian colleagues, you have this power to use language to share your ideas, to touch hearts, and to bring about change in the world. As Rotarians, we have the power to speak and share, to explain and to educate, to inspire and to influence. It is our responsibility to share our talents and ideas and to find meaning in other people's messages. May we use our skills to provide service to others. May we continue to grow as Rotarians so that we stand in our community as a symbol of those willing to freely put service above self and make this, our community and the world, a better place to live. All right, LJ will introduce our guests.
Have the microphone.
Yep, it's really sophisticated.
Oh, that's really.
We're going for hip, is what we were, you know.
Do I have what, 10 minutes?
Credit card.
Al and I have been checks together over 100 years. He's 90 out of 10. But in the old days, so by the name of Leonard Extra, who was the Kresge guy on the corner down on Broadway, and he would do this. He would go through and I'm sorry. Whoa. Anyhow, he would introduce guests, and of course we didn't have microphones like this. We had wired microphones, and we had about 125, 130 people down the area tall. And we'd be going around like this, and he'd be passing things over people's heads. And he did that for, I don't know, 25 or 30 years. And we would have, in those days, anywhere from 15 to 20 visiting people, because you had to make up Rotary. And they really don't make up Rotary anymore, that I know. Do we have any visitors? We have Robert over here. And here's the thing that if you ever do visitors, you never let go of the microphone. I did visitors for many years, and I learned the bad way.
Hi, I'm Robert Flanders. Just moved here from Virginia. I think this is maybe my 5th time to your meeting.
Okay, you lose $20 each meeting. No, because
I survived sailing with Colin 2 weeks ago. He didn't tell me we were pumping the sanitaries that day. So I helped out.
Okay, are you going to make a decision, or what are we going to do?
Well, I'm trying to find a job, and I don't want to join a club and then find out that I can't be in the club because of my job. So.
Okay, well, you can still keep coming.
All right.
Robert, good to see you. Yeah. Any other visitors? Any other visitors? Anybody out there is a visitor?
No, not today.
Well, let's give Robert a warm welcome.
We won't remember about for one of these days.
No. Come on now. Rubber bands are fun. Yeah. All right. It's like an urban mic check.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so anniversaries, we have Bill Neitz today. Mac Hamilton is September 28th. We have Mark Drips on October 1st and Bob Mueller on October 5th. Anniversaries, we have Christine Beach, 13 years. Mark Ostrom is 14 years, and Judy O'Fallon is 18 years. Let's celebrate these birthdays and anniversaries. And our member highlight today is from Tamsin.
Hello, everyone. For anyone who might not know me, my name is Tamsin. Audrey caught me very early one morning before the sun was up at the gym and asked me to do this before I even had my wits about me to say no. So here we are. So for those of you who don't know me, I don't know.
Well, we can't have it all.
That's fine. Just go from slide to slide. It's fine.
Okay.
There we go.
So a little bit about me. First, the most asked question that I ever get, what do you think it is?
Where did your name come from?
Yeah, that's it. So it came from this book. I just bought it on Amazon not too long ago. I haven't read it, but it's a romance novel called Daughters of the South Wind. So if you ever wonder where you can find the name Tamsin, that's where you find it.
I think it's important to point out your sister's name is Danielle.
My sister's name is Danielle, and that's very common.
Not,
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, that's
I
a
don't
question
know.
for your mom,
yeah. I think I might be the redhead, the second one in the picture.
obviously.
Yeah, right? The one that ends up with the man. I grew up in Truman, Minnesota, which is a tiny farm community about an hour and a half west of here. If you take I-90 to the Fairmont exit, going north about 10 miles, you'll get to Truman. There's a bunch of hog barns, lots of churches, and of course, the local bar. After I grew up in Truman, I went to school at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, and I have a major, a Bachelor of Science in Finance. I then ended up here in Rochester after school. I worked for Eastwood Bank, which became Bremer Bank from 2002 to 2015, and now I'm a community banker with F&M Community Bank. I've been there a little bit over 6 years. I have 2 teenage boys. They both go to school in Stewartville. Ben is 15, Nathan is 13, which means I watch a lot of youth sports. If you ever know where I'm at, it's probably watching this, which I love. It also means I buy a lot of groceries.
Did you Photoshop a bottle of wine?
No, I found that image right with the bottle of wine in the middle. I did not have to Photoshop it. They made that just for me. If I'm not watching sports, one of my favorite places is the golf course. I try to spend as much time there as I can. That's actually a picture of, oh, that's okay. That's the golf course I grew up on. My grandma was the manager of the country club in Fairmont, Minnesota for ever. So I probably started working there as soon as I knew the alphabet. That is a picture of where I grew, the golf course I grew up at, not long ago. That's a picture of Heather and I up north Minnesota. Heather was supposed to be here, by the way. A little other known fact that probably maybe only Heather knows is I only use pink, super soft, matte finished Callaway golf balls. So I'm very specific in my golf ball choice. And I actually won a longest drive contest a few weeks ago. And the prize was a sleeve of golf balls. And it was the right sleeve of golf balls. I didn't think there was ever a chance of that. My other happy place is my parents' lake home in Hackensack. About 4.5 hour drive, but it's so worth it. A lot of the activities that most of us like to participate in at the lake. Lucky to have it to go to. Lastly, why did I join Rotary? First, community impact opportunities. To have opportunities for myself and for my children is very important to me. The pictures are just the most recent ones that we were at the Quarry Hill Fall Festival. Also because I was at the gym that morning with Audrey.
Nice.
No. Oh. Anyway, so I am very thankful to have the opportunities, not only for myself, but I think it's important to introduce my kids to it as well. And lastly, for fun and friendships. Rotary provides me the opportunity to meet people that I probably would never have met, and to have that fellowship and those connections is so important to me. And thank you to all of you. And that's a little bit about me. Any questions? I left out the slide about if anyone knows any single eligible bachelors. I'm very much single, so that's my last plug. 25? I like bowling golf.
Thank you, Tamsin. I really appreciate that. Also, a reminder that Tamsin is our co-chair for the Holiday Classic, and she organized our golf outing last week, so we thank you for that. And so Rotary Classic is looking for sponsors, so talk to Tamsin.
We are. You get a peek right now from me home to read it.
Thank you.
So next week, we're going to try something new for our folks on Zoom. We want to recreate the atmosphere of their in-person lunch, because we know that's always been one of my favorite things, is to talk to people before lunch. So Zoom participants will head you into a breakout room prior to the start of the meeting, and we won't turn on the sound or the camera into this room until right before we start. That way you can have a conversation, kind of like your own roundtable, with other Rotarians before the meal or before we start the meeting. So you can join for your own little lunch and have that conversation. And it's kind of, we all know it's kind of awkward sometimes on Zoom while we're waiting for a meeting to start. Well, we're going to create that opportunity to talk to each other on Zoom for those who do that. So we'll give that a try starting next week. Foundation board met yesterday and took the following actions. We voted on the approval of a disbursement supporting the Guatemala Stove project. We committed $3,000 for the Uganda telemedicine project, which was that was a recommendation coming out of the World Community Service Committee. We approved an expenditure to support the Rochester Public Schools Phonics project, which and that's a 3-club commitment. We also voted to reimburse. We had a student, an exchange student, whose trip was canceled due to COVID and didn't get fully reimbursed. So that's a multi-club effort as well to reimburse that student. And I got voted the vice chair of the foundation for next year. So there you go. Hey, did I miss anything? Anybody at the meeting yesterday? Letting you know what's going on. The Strive program is gearing back up to start in October with 4 schools. You will remember that the Strive project is our community impact grant for this year. So we need 60 mentors. So the program seeks to support seniors to improve their school performance during their senior year. And we have great results with Strive. We have a Mike knew the number, what 96% of the kids actually graduate high school. So that's really impactful. We're seeking 60 mentors. There's forms on all the tables. You can also find it in the Moccasin Flower, the last week's newsletter. You can find it online there. You do not have to be a Rotarian to volunteer. So if you know someone who might be interested, please share. Any questions? And Mike Becker is the person to contact with questions. But you get to pick which school you want to be at, so because they're on different days, so whatever one works best in your schedule. We are going to be back here for the next 2 meetings. So on September, I have this out of order here. All right. Next week, we'll be back here, and our speaker will be Julie Brock and Jerome Fearson with the presentation, Cradle to Career, the Whole Story. And then the week after that, which is our typical, we in the past have been doing the Rotary After Hours. We are not doing that on October 7th. We're actually going to be back here in person. There'll be a hybrid option, and the board will be sharing its work and seeking input on the action plans. So you've told us what's important. We're talking about how do we organize, and the proposal that will be before you is to turn the first Mondays into committee meeting days at our regular noon time. So as the committees work, you've said these are the projects that are important to us. Strive, global health, education, those are the things that are important. And as we work on them, we want to make sure we give everybody time to actually do those things and have a carved out meeting time.
The first Thursday, right? Not the first Monday.
Did I say first Thursday? Sorry.
And that's starting in October.
So in October, we'll be seeking we'll actually be talking about it and making sure this makes sense and seeking input. The board will discuss at their October meeting, but the plan to kick off those committee meetings would be the first Thursday in November. Yeah. So, but we'll still meet in person the first Thursday in October, really to talk about it and really start that process of, you know, which committees do people want to make sure they get to work on. And then a reminder that the third Thursdays are changing as well. The third Thursdays are moving to our social time. So you'll be able to pick between a service group, a learning group, a virtual group, and a social group. And so we'll be bringing more information about that, what your choices are, and give you a chance to sign up, because you'll want to sign up for which one you want. So so the person coordinating will either have the right reservation or the right number of people if they're going to be teaching something. So, and those topics and hosts will change monthly. So we heard a lot of great feedback that people liked their small groups and wanted to stay in a small group format. And so we're just modifying that a little bit, and that will start October 21st. And Christine Erke and Kelly Engler have agreed to help coordinate. We would still love a couple more people to join that team to coordinate that going on into the future. And I want to do another shout out for Zoe Jansen and Marilyn Delling for representing TRCR on the 3 Club Cradle to Career team. So we do appreciate that. And I do have a question. Do we have any bowlers in our group? Anybody who's a bowler?
Like, do we enjoy going bowling if you're not good at it? Or
no, it doesn't. Skill level matters not. No. The district is talking about doing a Polio Plus bowling event, and what they're encouraging is for every team to send, or every club to send a person to the event. But I didn't even know if we had people who like to bowl who wanted to do that. Okay.
You lost me.
Anyway, if anybody is interested,
here and donate our proceeds to that.
well, I was going to reach out and ask, because what I was thinking that if we did have a group of bowlers, I'm kind of with you. I'm not sure I want to drive somewhere to go bowl, but we'll figure it out. So, but if you are a bowler and are interested, please talk to me and we'll figure something out. Any other announcements before we head into our program?
I have script cards.
I'm sorry?
I have quick trip cards.
Oh, okay. Amber has quick trip cards. So if you would like to buy a quick trip card.
Broadway game today.
Yeah, we're all set. So see Amber afterwards.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Anything else? All right. Allie Hanten Ebert is the executive director of the Jeremiah program in Rochester and has spent her career working to elevate the voices and experiences of young people and their families. She gained her experience working with young parents and homeless youth and moved into administrative leadership as her career evolved. Allie is dedicated to helping families get connected to support services, safe, permanent housing, educational opportunities, and more. She holds both a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and a master's degree in Human Development and Family Science, Couple and Family Therapy from North Dakota State University. Allie, right over to you.
Thank you all for having me today. I'm gonna jimmy rig this here fancy microphone. All right. My name is Allie Hanten Ebert, and I don't think it ever gets less weird having somebody read stuff about you. So there's that. So I am the executive director of Jeremiah program. I've been here for like 7 months now somehow. I'm not super sure where that time came or went, but I'm actually very new to Rochester. So I've only lived here in Rochester for about 3 months. So I'm still getting acclimated. This is actually my first time to this space. It's beautiful. So I'm excited to be here. I feel like this whole table over here could probably just do this spiel for me, which is awesome. So Jeremiah program's mission is to disrupt generational poverty Absolutely. I will. Is this volume better? Take
Speak a little closer to the mic.
closer. Okay, I'll move it closer to my mouth. How's that?
It's just hard, because we're also hearing.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so Jeremiah's mission is to disrupt generational poverty 2 generations at a time for single moms and their children. So that looks like a lot of different things, but it's kind of the heart of our work is around coaching through college persistence. And so we work with single moms to kind of help maneuver through the world of navigating college. Any of you who went through college can maybe remember what that minefield kind of felt like. And maybe we had supportive family members who've done that before. Some of our moms are about 50% of our moms are first generational college students, right? So they're navigating this arena for the first time. What we know about our single moms is that they live in poverty 10 times more than their male counterparts. So one of the questions I always get when I do these is, what about the men, right? There are single dads in this world and they absolutely need support. And what we know and what Jeremiah is here to address is that disproportionality for our single moms, right? And so we want to make sure that moms are never put in a position where they're having to make choices like, can I stay in my job while also go to college, right? Because as we know here in Rochester, rent is really expensive. The housing market is really expensive. So it's not likely that we're going to be able to pay for everything that our family needs while also carrying a part-time or full-time caseload at college. And so Jeremiah's goal is to work and partner with those moms to kind of help navigate through that and then do some barrier reductions around housing and childcare. Right, so everybody familiar with where our building is over on 19th Street and Valley High Drive, right across from Lourdes High School in the RAC area. So that building is a 40-unit apartment building. So we can house 40 moms and their children at a time. What's great is that, as you guys may be familiar, in 2017, when Jeremiah was first getting started, we were in a non-residential model. So we were serving moms out in the community, living out on their own. And as our building opened up in 2020, we shifted to a residential model, meaning we really wanted to hone in on the moms who are living in our building, making sure that they had all the support and advocacy that they needed to navigate through college in a really meaningful way, in a productive way. And now we're at a place where we get to expand open to our non-residential moms again. Right, so this summer was the first round of non-residential moms that we were able to serve since we opened our building, which has been really awesome. So now we've increased our capacity to serve. So we went from 40 on-site moms to about 60 moms in our community, both on-site and off-site. And so while housing is a really important need and one that a lot of our families have, we don't want moms to have to make the choice of having to give up their apartment to move to campus in order to receive those same services. And so now we can serve both, which has been really fantastic. So if we kind of work our way backwards and talk about what Jeremiah does and how we do it and what that process looks like. So families get referred to us either by themselves, through a family member, through a community organization. They fill out that application gets put in kind of a queue, right? So we do something called Empowerment and Leadership, which is a 12-week class that we do on the front end of our program. And so in this 12-week class, moms are learning about their strengths, what they're good at, what their goals are, and how do we undo some of those really negative narratives that come along with us in life, right? And how do we leave those behind and lean on our strengths to kind of guide our way through? So in that 12-week course, moms come in as a cohort. And so you're in a group of other moms from Rochester. And what's unique is that in the last year, we have centralized that process. So now moms get into this empowerment and leadership class, and now we've expanded into their network of moms. So they get to meet moms from Fargo and Minneapolis and St. Paul and Boston and Brooklyn and Austin, where our other 7 campuses are located, and immediately branch open their networks of moms that they know. And then we do a local tie back here in Rochester. So all of our Rochester's moms can start really building that sisterhood. That is really the kind of heart and the secret sauce of Jeremiah is building their village, building their network, because anybody who's ever parented in this world likely hasn't done it alone, right? So we feel it's really important to create that foundation for them so that when they're navigating their way through the program, they have a support system to lean back on, somebody who's been there, somebody who knows what they're going through. The days that your kid's sick and you can't call in or you have a test that day, you have a friend that you can lean on, right, to watch your child. And so that's kind of the front end of the program where they're learning these skills and kind of undoing some of that kind of negative stuff that carries with us sometimes. And about halfway through that, they're paired with a family coach. And that family coach is there to help them navigate their way into college if they're not already there, help them fill out FAFSA, help them do some career assessments, like what do I want to do, right? Depending on what age we were, like I didn't know what I wanted to do at 18. That's a hard decision to make. And so having somebody kind of walk alongside you is super productive and helpful. And so coaching can kind of take the place right in the middle of that empowerment and leadership course. And then that relationship continues to build. And on the other side of the 12-week course is when the kind of full program starts, right? And so as we talked about, barrier reducing is something that's really important to Jeremiah and something that's necessary in order to create access to a world that I had access to, right? Being raised in a middle-class white family, I had access to the world of college. That was kind of an expectation for me. As a single mom, there are inherent barriers that are in place that the rest of the world might not always see, or certain people in our world doesn't always see. And so Jeremiah exists to kind of remove those barriers so that the path is clear and forward, just like everybody else. And so housing can be one of them, but we also have a full on-site child development center. So we partner with Families First, and they provide early Head Start and Head Start on-site in our campus, so moms can easily access high-quality childcare, because that 2-generational support is really important. Because we want kids to see their moms go to college. We want them to see them be successful in college, but from a really young age, we want them to help and understand the importance of education, right? We want their days to be filled with enriching learning, play, and activities so that by the time they get to kindergarten, they're ready. We've all kind of seen the kindergarten classroom, right, where there's a great discrepancy in learning. We have kids who are entering kindergarten learning how to read or already reading. Right? And then we have our kids who maybe never been in a formal learning environment before and don't know how to stand in line or don't know how to raise their hands to be called on, right? And as a kindergarten teacher, you're now kind of dealing with this wide learning gap, right? How do you engage the learners that are already reading while also making sure that we're not leaving anyone behind along the way? And so part of Jeremiah's mission is to make sure that all of our kiddos who are in our child development centers are kindergarten ready. Because studies show that if you're kindergarten ready, you're more likely to be doing math and reading proficiently at 3rd grade. And if you're reading and doing math proficiently at 3rd grade, it predicts our high school graduation rates. If we graduate from high school, we're more likely to go to college, right? It's all cyclical. And so we want to make sure that we are kind of intercepting at every moment so that at no point are we leaving room for this generational poverty to kind of weave in. So that was a lot of information. What questions do you all have? Yeah.
Is the Jeremiah Project restricted to those who aspire to go to college, or is there also a vocational aspect?
Yes, so that is something that is in our strategic plan to be working towards. So currently it's a 2- or 4-year degree, which is really limiting, right? Like if college isn't for you, right? Like that learning environment isn't productive for you. We all know that there are trades that can make way more money than a 4-year degree can. And so that's in our strategic plan to start building out programming around the trades and the vocational services so that we can ensure that our moms have kind of full access to all the educational opportunities and the career opportunities that they have interest. Because the last thing we want is somebody to pursue a 2- or 4-year degree that isn't in alignment with their career goals.
You have 40 apartment units. How do you decide how long someone can stay with you before you can bring someone new into the program?
Yeah, so our families can stay with us until they've graduated. So that can be up to 5 years. Generally speaking, families stay with us about 2 to 3 years. And then, so once they've actually physically graduated and kind of received the diploma, they have 6 months of a transition period where we help them with what is the next career stop? What is the next housing plan, right? We want to make sure that that transition is really seamless and sets them up for success so that we're not putting them back in a position that they came to us in.
If I remember right, you have an age limit for the children, and then also you have a waiting list already for that. And then number 3, I think you have a question.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, so they have to be at least 18 and have completed high school or a high school equivalency in order to be eligible for the program. And then to live on site, they have to have one child under the age of 5 and all of their children need to be under the age of 8.
So they could age out of the program based on children's ages?
No, their kids can't age them out. Like they just have to be that age prior to moving in. Yep. Yeah.
Three quick questions.
Yes.
What is the source of the name Jeremiah?
Mhm.
2, are there any responsibilities that the clients have to the program in terms of participation, effort?
Yeah.
What is expected of them? And 3, what is the background and training of the staffs that help?
Mhm. Yes, I'm going to try really hard to remember all 3 of those in order.
Come back next week.
I already kind of forget the first one.
Source
of Jeremiah's name. So Jeremiah was founded by a priest out of Minneapolis, whose name was Michael O'Connell. He's not dead, he's still alive. And he noticed in his congregation that there was an overwhelming need that he saw for single moms. And so he partnered with some cross-sector support in Minneapolis to formulate a program to help single moms out of poverty. And so the name was chosen because of that origin, and still kind of practices that same idea of servitude, right? This idea that we are all better when we're all better. And so, yeah, so we always kind of laugh about how it's an agency predominantly run by women for women named after a man.
Responsibilities?
Yes, responsibilities. So they pay 30% of their income towards rent. They have to be enrolled in 9 credits and maintain a 2.0 GPA. And working or volunteering 10 hours a week. And then there's a life skills class that we do once a week once they're in the program. That is exactly what it sounds like, right? It's around financial literacy and skill building and mental health and parenting and those kinds of things. And there was one more.
Training.
Yeah, staff. So our staff generally, our coaching staff generally have a human service or social service background. So in the helping profession of some kind.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I grew up in a family of 4, so I learned to raise my hand. Could you briefly talk about the bigger network of the Jeremiah program? Could you briefly describe how that actually is set up?
Yeah, so we are one 501c3. So we operate under one umbrella. And so we have 7 campuses. Each campus is run by its own executive director. And then there's a leadership team that we're a part of as part of that larger network. And so I come from a small nonprofit in Iowa City. And when I came to Jeremiah, the fact that we're a part of this network kind of means that we have access to things that typical nonprofits don't. Right. So we have like a full grant writing team, and we have a full HR team, and we have a full development team. Right. And so there's a lot of resources that comes with that supports our local campuses, that when we talk about our local campus budget, we are factoring in. Right. So when dollars are donated to Rochester, those dollars stay in Rochester, so that it supports our local programming on site. And we don't have to necessarily, think about like, at the nonprofit I worked with, like most people had like 12 jobs, right? Like that's just kind of nonprofit life. And so it's nice to be a part of that larger network to kind of leverage those resources across the board.
So that touches another subject, and that's how does your funding actually funnel down to you? Is it state, local, or
yeah.
all of the above?
Yeah. Jeremiah is a little bit unique in that we're largely unrestrictedly funded, meaning that we are funded largely through private donors, private foundations. We have one state grant in Rochester that pays for some of our coaching staff, but it's largely around those like local and private foundations and donors that really support our services, which allows us a lot of flexibility. So as I mentioned, my last job, we were almost predominantly grant funded, which meant we had to kind of maneuver within the confines of all grants. Jeremiah has the privilege of being able to pivot to meet need in real time. And so instead of having to kind of be accountable to what the funders want, our grant funders want us to do, we can really make decisions that most benefit our families in real time.
Could you comment on how you measure success and provide some, maybe, I assume you keep excellent records of people coming into your program, how many leave the program, how many complete the program, and so forth. I wonder if you can comment on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So year to date, we've served 61 families just this year. We're projected to serve, probably between 70 and 80 this year as we wrap up. We have had 7 people exit the program. One of those formally graduated the program, with their degree. The others either found another living source or moved out of state. And so success is measured interestingly, right? Like if we think about our program and all the preventative factors that go into our program, our outcomes are going to be long-term, right? So we're not always going to see what housing somebody, what providing stable childcare, right? We're not going to see the long-term effects of those, unfortunately, but what we do get to do is we get to quantify that 88% of our moms are actively enrolled in college and are in line with their education plan, right? That all of our children are enrolled in high quality education programs, whether it's on-site or with another community partner. And I think that we can't really undermine the value of safety that all brings, right? They're living in a safe, secure building with a safe community that they've now leveraged networks and built their own villages in. And so I think that we can definitely put, concrete numbers to a lot of those things around what's their GPA and is their child kindergarten ready, which we're partnering with Cradle to Career to kind of continue to measure. But I think that the part that I focus on is all the stuff that I don't get to measure and I don't get to see kind of far out, knowing that we're creating the stability in life that is going to set them up for years of success.
What about from the college tuition part? How does that play into it?
Yeah, so the question was around college tuition. So they apply for Pell Grants, scholarships, or just pay the tuition themselves.
They're responsible for that.
They are responsible for that, yep.
Are they allowed to marry and stay in the program?
The program does require them to be legally unmarried. Okay. So partnered, absolutely, but not legally married.
And did you say how many were on the waiting list?
Oh, thank you. So we currently have 40 moms that are just coming into our empowerment and leadership round that just started this week. And so we have 6 that just kind of trickled in right as that session closed. That will be on queue for our November session. Yeah.
So there are several organizations in the community that serve families and at-risk people. How do you interact with those different agencies like Strive and Families First, Cradle to Career, and those type of work?
Yeah. So Families First runs our Child Development Center. So they've run the early Head Start and Head Start programming within our Child Development Center. So we partner really closely with them. All of their staff are staffing that. So our partnership is very intentional with them. Family Services Rochester provides on-site mental health services to both our moms and our kids. The county comes in and partners with us in ways to help moms with any of their benefits and turning in paperwork and answering questions that they have. Cradle to Career is working with our Child Development Center on kind of measuring that kindergarten readiness and then providing us some parent activities to work in the coaching realm to make sure that parents kind of feel aligned with their child's development and growth in that capacity. I think that the other thing to think about is kind of the housing supports that Rochester has. And so if we think about it as a continuum where like this end is kind of our emergent housing, like there's like, I don't have anywhere to sleep tonight, right? We partner with kind of all of the people along that continuum because we exist on this side, right? There needs to be a level of stability that families have reached. If we think about kind of basic needs, like those all need to be met in order for them to be set up for success to make it through college. And so we partner with all of the entities along the way in either referring to if a mom needs those supports or getting referrals from after they've kind of completed their programming. So I think that that's one thing that I've been really impressed and grateful for is the collaborative nature of Rochester's social service agencies. Spark also gives free memberships to all of our families to be able to go there, which is fun. Yeah. Did I miss any questions on the chat?
No, that was okay.
What's the biggest need that you have in your organization?
Yeah. So mental health is, I don't think that's a secret. That's like a pervasive need in our country right now. And so mental health, yeah, we are super grateful for our partnership with Rochester Family Services. They come in and do in-services for our families in a large group and then individual services. But I think that where we see the gap is that those psychiatric services, like getting an emergent kind of psychiatric assessment for some of our families who are in need. And so that would be the one. I think transportation is also hard. Like if you don't have a car, we're on a bus line, but right, the bus system works really well if you have a job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Right? And so I think that is a barrier that can be impeding if you don't have a vehicle of your own. So yeah, I would say that those two kind of are the very concrete needs that we see kind of coming to the forefront.
Are there any needs that a service organization like Rotary?
Yes.
That help you?
Absolutely. Glad you asked. So we have 2 drives coming up. So we do Adopt a Family every year, where we have donors adopt a family and provide kind of gifts for the holiday season. We're also doing a coat drive this winter, where instead of trying to kind of figure out the coordination between person X has this size matching that with the donor, we're providing all of the coats and just doing some fundraising to pay for the costs of all of those. And so those are things that we're looking for partners in as well. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Christine, anything else you want to add? Christine added Cook for Kids. So we do something on Tuesdays called Cook for Kids, which is a meal provided for our families. And so during non-COVID times, what that looks like is a volunteer group can come in and make a meal and serve a meal and eat it communally. Unfortunately, COVID just kind of ruined that for us a little bit temporarily. And so now it is a group that's either making a meal and bringing it in or catering in a meal, and then families are doing more of a grab and go style. And so we do that every single Tuesday. Making dinner is my least favorite thing in the world to do. And so the fact that we get to provide a meal for our moms, that they get to have a night off of making dinner is a huge deal and something that we love to be able to do. Anything else that I missed, Christine?
So I think it might be worth noting that the county gives us the housing voucher. So
Yes. So Christine brought up kind of the funding structure of the building itself. Many of you know Jo Marie Morris, who is an amazing human and made Jeremiah possible. She partnered with the county in a really strategic way that allows some of the funding for the building. So 20 of the units are project-based voucher units that are paid for that way. And then after a family graduates from the program, that turns into a housing choice voucher that they can go then use in the community somewhere. The other units, we have 4 long-term wellness units that we can fill kind of more immediate. So we have an ability to respond to more of an emergent need. And then there are 16 tax credit units that are paid for by an investor. So.
Maybe this is obvious. They can be in the program where you work to address these poverty issues and not live there?
Yeah, so they can be a part of the program and access the coaching services around, goal setting and academic achievement, education planning, those kinds of things. And all of our non-residential moms also have access to our child development center as well. Okay. Anything else? Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Allie. As a thank you for your presentation, a gift will be given to the Diversity Council. And as we close out today, I want to give thanks to all who assisted. Mark Drips, who was our greeter, Tamsin for leading us in the 4-way test, LJ for introducing visitors, John Woodruff for helping, for our Sergeant at Arms and helping at the visitors desk, and a special thanks to our speaker, Hanten Ebert. Thank you all. Serve to change lives. We are adjourned.
John.